Hey, folks, welcome back to Rugby Ascended. This is Chris coming to you live from Central Pennsylvania. My special featured guest today is none other than Rugby Atlanta's Connor Cook. This is a guy who's been around rugby for a long time now. He's been in Major League Rugby for quite a while. Hey, Connor, it's a pleasure to have you with us on the program. Welcome today.
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
Well, you know, a lot of people, they look on the pitch and it's hard to mistake you. First off, you're not a tiny guy. I understand you're kind of like me. You weren't that big in high school, but you're a lot bigger now. Is that a true story?
Yes, sir. I was very small in high school, actually. Yeah. But yeah, hit a little growth spurt. So
yeah, no, it's funny because I came in, I went to university for a year, then went in the Army. And at the age of 20, I was still buying new jeans because I was outgrowing them in height. I don't know if that was the same for you, huh?
I grew another inch and a half in college. So yeah, same story.
Same story. Yeah. Which is great because you like being taller, but you got to keep buying clothes, which kind of sucks.
I know it's horrible, but I finally plateaued. So I think it's okay now.
Now you've had an interesting experience. You've been all over.
I was born in Virginia, and then my family moved from there to the mountains of Colorado. So we were up near Breckenridge, a small town called Frisco.
Oh, Frisco, Colorado. That's where it comes from.
Yeah, Frisco, Colorado. Yeah. And then, so lived out there for about 13 years. And then went to all my high school years in Hawaii, which was awesome. That's where I learned how to play rugby. And then I went to a school just for 2 years or a year and a half in Southern California. And then I transferred to Arkansas State to play rugby.
Well, I saw that. And while at Arkansas State, you were playing for sevens, weren't you?
Yeah, we did sevens and 15s, but we had some better success in the sevens realm. So I was lucky to be a part of 2 national championship teams there, which was awesome.
Well, that's what I was going to mention. I say, talk about some success. You had 2 national championships while with the Red. I think Arkansas is the Red Wolves. Isn't that correct?
Red Wolves, yes, sir. Yep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So 2 national championships, and you were an All-American, yes?
Yeah. In 2014. Yeah.
Congratulations.
It was a fantastic. Yeah. Thank you. It was a great experience.
Now, sevens is amazing. You know, I look at a guy your size, and sevens isn't my first thought, but you're deceptively faster than people realize, aren't you?
Yeah, a little bit sneaky.
There you go.
No, I love sevens, but it is it's an exhausting sport. Totally different. It's very fun.
It's a track meet. I mean, it is exhausting.
Yeah.
No, the first time I introduced people to sevens, and I explained to them, I said, you know, in 15s, the rugby union, you know, it's 40 minutes each half. And okay, they get that, you know, football and soccer. Okay, it makes sense. And I'm like, you know, okay, now sevens, don't go to the restroom. Why? Because you'll miss the game. What do you mean? Well, it's only a few minutes long. Well, then why are they playing? Well, you get out there and run around for 7 minutes.
It's the longest 7 minutes of your life. It's the longest 7 minutes of your life. It's crazy.
But you've got this long association, as you said, you lived there for 13 years in Colorado, Frisco, Colorado, near Breckenridge. Beautiful spot, by the way. Absolutely gorgeous. I can see why you call it home. So you wound up turning pro when Major League Rugby came around and back in 2018, and you were with it was Glendale Raptors initially. They called themselves because they're in Glendale. Then they changed to Colorado Raptors, and you spent your first 3 seasons there in the league, cutting your teeth as a professional. What was it like out there playing at altitude? Because I asked this because there's a lot of South Africans on the Rugby Atlanta side, and they know what it's like to play at altitude when they go to Loftus or to Joburg. So what's it like at altitude?
It's definitely. We had a home field advantage, definitely, you know, when teams would come to play us there. Obviously, you know, playing there, you don't totally notice it because you get used to it. But, when teams would travel to play it, I mean, it absolutely affects you. And so dry, too. I mean, you can drink as much water as you want, but it just doesn't, you know, it's just different. Like, you know, because you can say the same thing when you come down to, like, these humid states, obviously, because you're sweating so much. But it's like you can't get enough water into you to stay hydrated up there. It was a big advantage. It was also very, and then when we would go down and play, you know, teams at sea level, we obviously could run for days. So it's kind of a dual-edged sword there. So I think it was a huge advantage for us. It wasn't too bad. I think obviously for us is we got used to it and everything. We trained in it every day, but it was more the winter months that were harsh up there.
Well, in fact, you make a fair point there, and that's it's not just the altitude, where the oxygen is a little bit thinner, but it's also the fact that it's so dry out there. It's semi-desert, essentially, is where you're at.
Yeah,
and so so you've got the double whammy of your cells, you know, not getting enough oxygen into your blood, and you're also getting you have less moisture in your body, so you're being drained quicker. Now, when you come down to sea level, you may sweat a lot, but you're sweating. You realize you're losing water. But when you're at altitude and you're not sweating, it's like, most people ignore it, and then suddenly you have a headache.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. It's exactly what happens. It's hard to sleep up there, I'll tell you.
Oh, I can imagine. So you spent, I was in Ethiopia. I worked the American Embassy there. It's 9,900 feet where the embassy's at. So it's even twice the height of what's there.
Yeah, that is up there.
Well, I used to run at lunchtime every day, and I would go out and change and run outside the embassy and up the hill, and I go up to over 10,000 feet. And at first I'm like, man, I must really be out of shape. And then it started to dawn on me, like, no, you're really high.
There's no air. There's just no air up here.
It's like every day. Yeah, it was crazy. But you start to adjust after a while. But it is definitely a different feel. But now you played Colorado for 3 years with the Raptors when they came in the league. What was that like? Because they were a pretty good team in the league when they came out of the gate.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was first couple of years the league had started. So I think we had a leg up on some other teams just from a recruiting standpoint. We had quite a few USA players at the time, and a couple of good guys we had recruited internationally. And I just think the league across the board was that standard was a little lower at the first year or two. But yeah, it was awesome to play for them. First year, made it to the final, obviously. Had an unfortunate loss against Seattle, but it was a really fun experience, especially my first taste of a professional organization. And then for the next 2 years, we kind of had a rough patch the second year, definitely. And then the third year, we were turning things around. Obviously, COVID shut everything down, but I really enjoyed the facilities and everything out there were amazing. And I learned a lot while I was with the club, so.
Well, no doubt. I mean, that is Rugby Town USA. So it's clearly, I would hope they got the great facilities out there. The national team, of course, is based out in that area. So you got your bachelor's degree in exercise science. And I think you were working in Colorado as a strength and conditioning specialist while you were playing.
Yes, sir. Yep.
Now, are you able to work outside of rugby now, or is that your focus for the full time is doing the Rattlers?
Right now, it's full time, just with the Rugby ATL with the Rattlers. Since I moved out here, I wanted to just focus on that. It was a fantastic thing that I still do some customer service stuff for Elite Speed, is the company I work for. I still do some stuff for them, but it's kind of work at my own pace during the week type of deal. And then in the off season, if I want to ramp up some hours, I can go ahead and do that. But since I moved out here, I wanted to really focus on rugby. It was kind of a bit of a juggle to do full-time work and obviously full-time rugby out in Colorado. So since, we decided to actually uproot the family and move out here, I thought it would be good to just fully focus on rugby. So it's been great. I've been really enjoying it.
Well, that kind of answers my next question. I was going to ask you, what's it like bringing the family out to Atlanta? I mean, I honestly, for me, the humidity gets a little too high for me once you get the Mason-Dixon line. And so summertime in Atlanta, that's not my idea of a fun place, but it's quite beautiful there, Marietta. So what's it like for you and your family?
It is. It's really beautiful. So we've been enjoying it so far. So my wife and I both went to school in Arkansas at Arkansas State. So we're slightly used to the humidity, but obviously it had been a few years since we've been back. I mean, so now it's getting like really hot and humid. So it's definitely an adjustment period. But again, just like getting used to the altitude out in Colorado, I'm sure it'll be something we'll get used to over time. Luckily, we have a neighborhood pool, so we can go there on the hot days. But yeah, we've really been enjoying it. My wife works from home, so, she's here most of the time. And we have our daughter. We got some childcare through the team, which has been nice to help out. Because she's getting more mobile and stuff. She's 9 months now, so she's trying to walk everywhere, and it's a big handful. But it's really been pretty fun. So we bought a house out here actually, so we have a lot more space than we had in Denver. So yeah, it's been great. I've had my parents come out a few times, help us out. My mother-in-law's here right now, so yeah.
Well, I have to ask this question, and no interview will be complete without asking at least the first time we speak. And that's okay. You know what's coming next. All right. Now you said you're married, so obviously it wasn't a detriment to getting married. But you've got you're not a Rastafarian that I know of, and you don't sing reggae, but you've got these dreadlocks. What's the story with the dreadlocks? Because you're unmistakable. When you come on the pitch, there's no missing this guy.
So I didn't exactly plan on growing them. I had long kind of shaggy hair when I was in college, and this was back in 2010 was my last haircut actually.
Wow.
And yeah, so my hair was pretty long. I took good care of it. And one day I was combing it after I showered, and this just poof ball formed on the side of my head. So I kind of twisted it up, kind of formed into like a little pseudo dread. So I was like, all right, where will this go? You know? And my uncle had dreadlocks back in the day and told me a couple tips. So I just kind of started letting them kind of grow in on their own. It took about a year and a half for them to all fully lock out, and I just really enjoyed them. So I just wanted to see how long I could kind of go with it, and now it's just sort of a part of me.
No, that is an interesting story. So,
yeah.
So it's not what I expected. I thought maybe there's something more to it. Maybe you took a trip to Jamaica, or you went to reggae festival or something like that, or you had friends.
I mean, I've been to plenty of reggae concerts. Love reggae music. So I mean, there's maybe, but I'm not Rastafarian. I'm not by any means trying to say that, but could be a little influence there, but I'm not trying to say it by any means. I'm a Rastafari at all. They just kind of formed on my head on accident, and I just let it roll. So yeah,
that'll do. That's fine. That does the trick. Before we wrap up, I did want to say, what about this game last weekend? I think you were out of the lineup for a little bit there. I don't know if you had a little niggling injury or something like that, but you're back in the lineup. It's good to see you back there up at St. John's. I got to say, obviously I was watching because you're back in the lineup, and look like you had a good game coming back, but a tough loss there. But we knew it was going to be hard against Rooney, and ATL could have walked away with the win here, but it was a tough one, and you guys never gave up, scoring late in the game, keep it close. What was that game like for you to get back on the pitch?
Well, it felt great to be back out there with the guys. Definitely. I was super happy to be back and running around. So yeah, I had a lower leg injury that I was just coming back off of. So it was I think we had definitely some great moments. We were building some really good attack, holding on to the ball. We obviously had some handling errors and things of that nature, but I think it just came down to a couple like key decision making issues, and towards the end there we started to play a little frantic, little outside of our typical play. So we kind of talked about that after the game with some of the game drivers, something we probably could have kept cooler heads and just kind of played our pattern and everything, and maybe it would have turned out a little different. But yeah, I think it was just a couple decision making things that we kind of messed up on and whatnot, but you learn from it. I mean, we definitely took the learnings from it, and we'll apply it this week as we go into Houston and DC next weekend. So,
well, it seems pretty clear that the top teams for the moment are Rooney, Rugby ATL, and NOLA looking pretty strong here this stage. So the three of you are going to duke it out to get to the end for those two top spots to go into playoffs. But Connor, it's a pleasure getting a chance to talk with you. Thank you for your time today, and best of luck on your next game out there. And glad you're back from the injury. It's nice seeing you on the pitch again.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. I'm glad to be back out there with everyone, and look forward to the rest of the season.
All right. Cheers. Thanks a lot. Take care.
All right. Cheers. Yeah. Have a good one.